Good afternoon. My name is Sonia from TechnologyCatalogue.com, and I would like to welcome you to our new webinar about 3D modeling in AR/VR. Before leaving you with Vittorio Bava from Mindesk, I will briefly introduce Technology Catalog. What we want to do is make finding technology in the energy industry very easy and immediate, together with all required support to deploy these technologies. A current problem, indeed, is that there is a very wide range of available solutions which can cause confusion about what are the best technology investment for your business. And also, it's a great opportunity to be introduced to new technologies without having to travel. So I would like to invite you to visit our website to find and compare new technologies that will so enhance your business. The webinar will last around 15 minutes. First, we are going to show you a video, then we are going to have a brief presentation, and the 5 final minutes will be reserved for your questions. So if you have any, please use the chat box on your right.
In the world, there was a big problem of organic waste. The unique way that Bio4Sec has been facing this problem is to design some systems that can be installed directly at the source. First of all, we remove 90% of transportation of millions of tons of waste every year. We reduce greenhouse gases emission. We actually subtract CO2 from the atmosphere. And third, we are actually producing a product, something that can be reused into the economy, the society, and put safely back in nature. We looked at this problem and we were like, we need to design something that it's easy to install and it's easy to be put anywhere in the world. So we designed 2 modular machines. The first machine has the goal to remove water. In order to remove water, there is a lot of energy required. And the second machine transforms all that dry waste into energy. All the energy is extracted in an extremely clean way. And then we are able also to recuperate all the elements that otherwise are wasted. Designing such a new machines and a modular system, work with manufacturer, it's always a little bit of a challenge showing them the products, making sure that what we design, it's buildable, it's easy to mount. It's important to be able to show easily, either to the engineers, even to the outside world, how this machine can be operated. It's safe, is it going to fit into my plan? And so transitioning to virtual reality gave us the opportunity, augmenting the collaboration between the engineers, also showing to some people that are not necessarily technical in a more user-friendly way how the machine is safe and how does it look like in real life and other aspects of it that convince our clients and our collaborators to move forward with the project. Mindesk gave us a different perspective. Instead of seeing everything on the screen, we can now navigate in virtual reality into the product, understanding it, seeing it with different eyes, and understanding if mechanics can work on it easily, if operators are going to be able to walk around it and use it in a different way. So some perspective that it was impossible before, even with the most sophisticated 3D programs.
Thank you for your attention, and now I'm going to start the presentation. My name is Vittorio Bava. I'm one of the founders of Mindesk, a company that was recently acquired by Vection Technologies. Vection Technologies is a company listed in the Australian Stock Exchange, a technology company that encompasses all the functions of a client or any digital transformation needs at 360 degrees. And this is how we ended up being part of this large group very recently. We have offices in Europe, in the US, and in Asia and Pacific to serve a global audience. The industries we're active in are, of course, oil and gas. That's what we're going to talk about today, but also architecture, automotive, transportation in general, healthcare, and education. And we specialize in serving medium, large companies, especially, as you may see on the left, some names. Some of them are very well known, and also we partner with many of the technology providers that these companies already are using. And this is the same video you just saw, and you will find this linked in the presentation. You can download after this. There are some real tangible examples of the boosts in productivity that we were able to deliver to these large companies. So today I'm going to talk about the main products that we have, which are Frame S, Mindesk, and also custom services. We're going to start from Mindesk, which is where I come from. And Mindesk, long story short, is a plugin for CAD software. CAD stands for Computer Aided Design. Specifically, we're talking about Rhino and Unreal, or also Dassault system SolidWorks, which is very common, especially in the oil and gas and machinery industries. What this does is a live link between the CAD and virtual reality that allows to visualize the product, but also the model, but also to manipulate it and edit the object from virtual reality itself. Very useful for design review and to collaborate more effectively with your colleagues. And since everything is based on the CAD itself, all the calculations, all the math is made by the CAD itself, there is no interruption of the workflow. As a matter of fact, there is an improvement of it. Here is an example. You could find this video linked in the presentation. They're very tangible. It's a reverse engineering case that starts from a point cloud scan. This is an example that is quite common among oil and gas companies, but also in the naval industry for any company that has to deal with a great deal of complexity. And by doing this reverse engineering in virtual reality itself, you could literally do it with your hands. And starting from a point cloud scan, which is from reality, one can cut the reverse engineering times in a couple of weeks rather than a couple of months. There is another magnitude of improvement in the productivity of this specific phase. Then there is also Frame S. Frame S is a slightly different solution, always in virtual reality, that instead of being based on the CAD software itself, it works with FBX or OBJ files, which are exports from many types of CAD software. This software can be used collaboratively, even remotely, up to 6 users connected at the same time, and is used more to customize the product or to show it to a remote audience. In this other video that you're going to find in the presentation link, there is an example with some heavy machinery. Besides modifying the colors, of course, you can explode the project. You can analyze and visualize the single components, and you can show that to a remote audience. Besides that, we also offer some custom services in virtual reality or augmented reality. Anything that you could possibly think of is something that can be made in virtual and augmented reality. This specific example that is linked again in the presentation was for Bonatti, which is an oil and gas machinery company. We were able to craft a training experience, on-field training experience, that reduce the number of accidents that happen after the employees were trained with this solution, because they developed muscular memory, and the training was a lot more effective. This was just an example, but literally anything you can think of is something that we can make as a custom project. Now, I hope I was quick enough. I sort of rushed through the presentation, but now if you want, I'm available for some Q&A. If you have some specific questions about your use case, or if you want to go back to a certain topic, please write them in the chat or pass them on to Sonia.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Vittorio. So if you have any questions, just submit them through the chat, and we'll see.
Come on, don't be shy, guys.
In the meantime, I may have a question myself. So what was the most kind of unexpected application where Mindesk has been of help?
Wow, that's a nice one and an unexpected question. So one of the surprising things was that a designer had to design a theater. So it was using this CAD plugin for visualizing sound waves. But because in Mindesk you have the capability of editing things in virtual reality, he was moving the walls of the theater with his hands and seeing in real time what are the effects on the sound waves. That was pretty unexpected. We didn't sort of plan for it. Another thing is in downtown Canberra in Australia, now there is a statue that was made by a sculptor that created it entirely from scratch using virtual reality. So there's that. We have a monument made in Mindesk. And so I have a few of these examples, but let's save some time for some other questions maybe. If you want, I could tell you something about the oil and gas industry, since this is the audience we have today. So we're seeing that in a petrochemical plant, that reverse engineering case I mentioned, when there was a fire, so part of it got damaged and it had to be reconstructed. But in order to have that reconstruct, you have to assess the damage and make a CAD representation of it. Also because then all the pipes and other objects have to be manufactured. And by using virtual reality on top of the CAD itself, you're basically drawing over the cloud of points with your hands. This is something that is maddening if you have to do with a mouse on a 2D surface such as screen. But in 3D, when you're immersed in the design, you just touch the pipe with your hand and in one click it's done. It's a huge productivity increase, but also improves the quality of life of the engineers and designers that have to work on it. Caitlin,
okay, we have the first question. So could you input signal strength and have Mindesk simulate how far a Wi-Fi or Bluetooth signal could reach in an enclosed space?
Yes. As long as that is something that comes from the CAD software at the base itself, is something that can be represented in Mindesk. There is this one client, very large company. 500,000 employees. I cannot disclose the name yet because we're a public company, but go figure. There are not that many. They had this special software that was based on one of the two CAD platforms I mentioned, and they had this need that you just mentioned, Caitlin, about visualizing their data from the CAD in virtual reality. We just plugged in Mindesk and it was working, because since it's based on the CAD software itself, usually it requires very minimal adaptation. So if that is already something you're doing in SolidWorks or Rhino, or maybe some other CAD platforms we're planning to expand in a few more, just reach out, and most likely this is something that can be done very easily.
Okay, thank you, Vittorio. Let's see if there is some other question coming in.
If there is none, and we have still a minute left, maybe I could tell you about some other examples. So
I think that could be super interesting for our audience.
Sure. So large shipyards, which are the same one that produce tankers, so to speak, so something very close to what we're talking about today. They manufacture the large ships in chunks, and then they wheel those big chunks. And sometimes, because of some, let's say, mistakes, let's call them mistakes in the design review phase, they try to wheel these large pieces and the pipes mismatch. So this is something that if you review the design in virtual reality, you can see that a lot easier and fix that, because you can modify the CAD project with your hands. So that is another example of productivity. Besides doing more in less time, is also reducing the number of errors. John Cho asks, do you support Oculus Quest? Yes, we do. We support all professional headsets. Regarding the Oculus Quest specifically, since the calculations are made on the computer, it is necessary that it has to be tethered. So a tethered headset, but that is it possible with a Quest? Is it possible with all the other commercial headsets such as HTC Vive, Oculus, and all the Windows Mixed Reality, and even with the Vario that maybe has retina resolution.
Okay, thank you, Vittorio. I think that the time we have available is run out.
Sure,
so, of course, thank you, and thank you everybody for being here today. As we mentioned, we will share the material used during the webinar in the next days. And if you want to discover more, please head to technologycatalogue.com, where you can fully see the Mindesk technology. Of course, I wish you all a nice day, and we'll be in touch.
Have a great day. Bye.